Aloha! Welcome to Health Reddy with Dr. Reddy, episode number 3. We are here to support you in your journey to become a healthier you. My name is Max Tay, and with me is Dr. Reddy.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Very excited to present today's topic. It's all about food and nutrition. And there's lots that we will be covering today. A lot of the questions that I've answered is based on what people have requested from me. And if you haven't watched our episode 1 and 2, we highly recommend you watch those first because there's a ton of context and content there.
Now, we are on Facebook, fb.com/healthreadyshow, where we have loads of content to help you to get healthy ready, as well as interesting articles of what we do, what the show is about, and other services. Now, later on the show, we have our guest to share his story. If you've led a pretty sedentary life and looking for some inspiration to get off your couch and do something, you got to catch him later on. So, Dr. Reddy, how shall we start off with our delicious episode?
Talk about delicious. Food is often associated with a lot of emotion. And delicious is a very apt term to describe good food, right? Let's start this episode with breaking one myth. The myth goes, healthy food is bland.
I answered this, ladies and gentlemen. It is not bland at all.
Yes, of course it's not. So there's a lot of variety that one could do. At the same time, getting healthy nutrients and really healthy food, I think it's not a difficult thing. And we will explore more of that later part of the episode. And there's tons of content that we want to talk about, mostly around nutrition, gut health, weight loss. That's a big favorite for a lot of people. They've requested us to talk about that. The other things are mental health. Today, when I was driving my car on my way to the show, I was listening to the radio and I came across this news that in Singapore, there was recent statistics that were released that the most common cause for death amongst the age group 10 to 25, guess what?
10 to 25, wow.
It's a very young group.
Would it be cancer? Or some kind of sickness?
You would be surprised. In Singapore, suicide rates for that group are really high. So suicide and mental health have come on top of the chart for 10 to 25-year-old deaths.
Personally, I don't think that mental health has been discussed often enough. We need to speak up more often and make it a norm. It's no longer like a taboo subject or anything that we used to make up.
Yeah,
for. Yeah.
Completely agree. And I think there are more people talking about it now. There's more open talk about it. It's not just behind the scene with the doctors and therapists. It's more in the media. A lot of people are coming out with their struggles around addictions, around depression, about mental health, anxiety.
Yes.
So, and who would have thought that food and mental health are thick together? They are very interconnected. There's a lot of common ground because after the brain, your gut is the next brain.
Oh, there is a second brain in your body?
The second brain is the gut because most of the brain chemicals, the neurotransmitters, what we call as the brain chemicals, which control our mood and emotions, apart from the head, the next area they're concentrated is in the gut, in the intestine.
Okay.
So you can't talk about mental health without talking about gut health.
Right. I think there are a lot of people, like, for example, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, they look into the mental health of expect, but the gut itself, not much knowledge, and it's a pretty new subject, I'll say.
That's right. The integrative approach where you have the idea of eating healthy, understanding what's going on in the gut, understanding the microbiome, and seeing how that's causing these mental health challenges, I think that's pretty new. I wouldn't say it's a very age-old subject, but there have been references to this in TCM and other traditional forms like Ayurveda, where they use herbs to change some of these microbiomes. But it's never been studied in a very scientific approach.
And maybe that's where you come in really handy along. You have all this knowledge of alternative therapies plus your medical background. So everything combines together to give you a wider and more holistic overview of the whole thing.
Yep. So that's one area which I'm really passionate about, where understanding what's been tradition, what's been traditional foods, historically, what have people been eating. Especially what fascinates me is reading about blue zones and understanding what foods people ate in these blue zones where they are a high concentration of centenarians, people living above 100. So that kind of, I'm really interested to know what kind of food they eat, what's the lifestyle they have, what's led to them living so long. And these are areas also where mental health, they have very high like quality of life. They're very fulfilled and happy and stuff.
Let me make a guess. It will be Japan, right?
Japan's one of the blue zones. There's one in the US. There's one in Italy. So they've kind of spread out across the globe. There's a book called Blue Zones that you guys might want to check out if you're interested. It's highly recommended. And so there's a lot of things that we can talk about in today's episode. And I can't wait to get there and share some of these new insights, research, and at the same time, taking you back on that historical treatments that people have been using to keep healthy, our ancestors, our grandparents, those small snippets in the diet that we've overlooked in our tradition. And that's what I really love about Singapore, because there's so much history behind food,
Yes.
and everybody's passionate about food.
Oh, yes.
And so we have a lot to share.
All right, so this is a very, very delicious episode, like I've said. So we look forward to serving you all the food. And of course, later on, our guest will be here to share with you his secret. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the show with me. Once again, we have got Dr. Sankeet Reddy. Now, Dr. Reddy, we talk about food and our brain and everything else. Would you like to share a bit more from there?
Yes, definitely. Once again, I would like to stress how important food is in our lives. And it's not just about getting healthy or losing weight.
Yes.
There's a lot more dimension to what we eat.
Yes, correct. I think, in our age of internet, Instagram, everybody's just wanting to look good and everything else. Yes, it's great to look good. However, I think the bigger picture that we are advocating would be getting healthy to lose weight. Yes?
Yes, and as I said, we want to go one step or many steps beyond losing weight based on food. We want to share about how this entire food industry, or even the soil and all of the environment, how's the change impacting us? How is it impacting our health overall?
Yes.
Things that are not in our conscious control, but have a deep impact on how we consume food. So these are things that we want to talk more about.
Yes.
And of course, we want to recommend, rather share about what's healthy and what's not, break some myths, bust some myths along the way, share more of what's accurate, what's the right evidence in the forum now, and share some of the key breakthroughs in nutrition over the last decade.
One of the things that I've been working with you for a while is whenever I do my supermarket shopping, I tend to read the labels. I'm more conscious of what are the things that I'm putting into my body. Sugar is one. All the funny chemicals in the food, yes, it is in there, one. And also, pay special attention because certain products that's being marketed, all right, they can claim that they are a healthier choice, they are a health drink. Well, you really have to make a more conscious choice in it. And this is something that I think you can start right away.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of food is misrepresented nowadays because I think healthy, the tag healthy is a very popular thing to market now. So a lot of things are pushed under the name of healthy.
Yes.
So you have to consciously know what goes into your food. So make sure you check the labels. Choose as much as possible. Choose whole foods.
Whole food, yes.
Yeah, try to steer away from processed foods. Anything that comes in a packet, anything that comes in a package is usually processed. Not everything, but most of it is processed, and
Yes.
they do have preservatives and additives which might have inflammatory problems
Yes.
when you eat it.
Right. So later on, I'm going to show you, okay, the kind of oil that I use, okay, because I used to be like really, whatever it is available in the market is cheap, okay, just buy it. But after a while, I think, hey man, healthcare cost is rising, so
Yeah.
I'd rather buy a better type of oil than to pay for my healthcare and everything
Yeah,
else.
as you said, what's the cost of eating healthy, and what's the cost of a heart attack? If you have a heart attack or if you have a stroke, what's
Yes.
the cost, the healthcare cost, the lifestyle cost,
Right.
and cost to your loved ones versus the cost that you spend on, say, a basket of organic vegetables or grass-fed meats or whatever. So it's again a short-term versus a long-term thing, and knowing all of this and knowing what the weightage of each of this is, I think it's important because
Yes.
it empowers you to make the right choice when you're walking along the supermarket aisles or shopping online. You know that these are good and these are not so good.
Right. So reading labels is one, and also getting yourself conscious by reading articles. There are lots of medical journals, and they're not just made for doctors, okay, but for everyday people. There is something more, especially if you're concerned about the type of food, and if you've got like the young ones and you want to start them right on the right kind of diet. Well, it's good to do a bit of research.
Yeah.
Now we also talk about the environment, right? We'd like to share how the environment impacts the kind of food that we eat.
Yes. So as I said, I've been working with a few people who advocate for organic food, like Vegetarian Society and stuff. So what has happened over the last decade is many of the farms where we traditionally get food from, like I think Singapore imports most of the food from Malaysia,
yes.
Indonesia, and the vegetables come around from here. The soil has been depleted of nutrients because of the farming practices and the over farming and stuff like that.
Yes.
So the soil profile has changed. And what's come out, not just in a local context, but globally, is the nutrient content of these foods has depleted. Like
Right.
example, a tomato that our grandparents ate, or even like say a cucumber that our grandparents ate, had a different nutrient profile compared to what we buy and eat now. So it's got, nowadays we have vegetables and fruits that have a much higher sugar content naturally because of the hybrid varieties and GMOs and stuff. So we've kind of pre-selected for these foods, and some of the foods that our ancestors ate or in the past, they were more grounded, they're more organic, more natural. So they had a different nutrient profile. They're more nutrient dense.
And earlier on, you mentioned about blue zone. Some of the centenarians, they actually live very long. Is there any correlation with the kind of food that they eat?
Yes, so most of the blue zones, in these blue zones, people have farming practices. So they still stick with the old practice where they farm, they garden, they have their own produce.
Yes.
In the village or in the location. They have like farmers markets and stuff where they go and like get food, like fresh food, like say in Japan, I guess
Yes.
it's Okinawa, is it? So where people kind of, the fish and all are like fresh, and even the vegetables, the food they eat, it's all like very small and home cooked and stuff. So there's a lot of that element that comes into blue zones, and that's across this phenomena they've observed across the globe. It's not just in Japan.
Not just Japan.
Yeah,
okay.
it's the Mediterranean, it's the US, wherever they have these blue zones
So
located.
the soil makes a big difference, and the way the vegetables or animals are farmed and everything, they make a big difference.
Yes, it does. It does. And yes, it also depends on how closely connected people are with the environment they are in. So if they are closely related to the ecosystem where the food comes from, that's a big plus.
Yes.
Because they are in contact with the microbiome. The environment has a very close impact on them. So the body inside and outside there's a balance between that. So that actually brings me to the next topic that I want to talk about, which is microbiome.
What's that microbiome?
So there's it's a buzzword right now.
Yes,
Everybody
it is.
wants to talk about microbiome.
Right.
So microbiome is basically the trillions of organisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, multiple microorganisms that live on us, skin, nose, head, body,
Right.
and within us. starting from the mouth all the way down. So these are bacteria that other organisms also that kind of line the entire gut. So they have they actually have a more dynamic role to play than just causing diseases.
Okay. So there is this thing called the good bacteria, the bad bacteria as well.
That's right.
This is like something like a parasite living in you and it takes over our system.
Exactly. So we have trillions of bacteria within us.
Yes.
Billions of them are good,
Yes.
and there are a lot more that are not good. So when that balance exists, they kind of coexist. So the body kind of keeps the bad ones in check. How that does is the body has its own natural defense, plus the good bacteria and good microorganisms there. They kind of act as gatekeepers. They kind of keep the bad ones from entering the body or even growing and setting up colonies. So it's kind of a tug of war. So the good ones
Right.
fight the bad ones off. So when the balance of this microbiome is disturbed for whatever reason, like say you've taken processed foods, or you've taken a course of antibiotics, or you've like gone through some tremendous stress, any of these can cause the balance to shift. That means they can impact the good bacteria. They can kind of reduce the counts of these good bacteria, and as a result, they kind of leave openings in the gut, in our gut lining, for the bad bacteria to enter. And that is what we call as dysbiosis. And
Dysbiosis.
And this is what leads to leaky gut. This is another term that I guess a lot of people have heard about it, but let's go deeper into it. So what is leaky gut?
Yes. What is leaky gut?
So leaky gut is just like this. Imagine you have a pipe and you have multiple holes in it.
Oh dear.
So when water flows through it, you see that the water, just imagine the
Right.
water is coming out. So imagine your intestine is a big pipe.
Food goes into the intestine.
Food goes in, water goes in, different things that you put into
Yes.
your mouth all go into that. When you have a well-functioning gut and a well-functioning digestive system and a well-functioning microbiome, you don't have these holes. They're all
Right.
plugged, food goes in, gets digested, and the nutrients get absorbed. Okay?
Yes.
Now imagine this. Now you have these all dangerous bacteria that are drilling holes into your gut, and you have things like toxins and all these additives from foods and different toxins from molds and stuff. What they do is they kind of damage the gut lining. So what happens is all these foods that you put in, when they go in, instead of getting digested and broken down into small things and then getting absorbed, they are not fully digested and they get absorbed. They kind of leak into the gut.
And where do they go?
They go into the bloodstream. So what happens when semi-digested proteins and other ingredients go into the gut? They lead to allergies. They lead to inflammation.
I see. So allergies is not probably not just from the food per se,
Yeah, so the common belief is that people are allergic to food, right?
right?
But if you do an allergy profile on someone, you notice that different times, like you check once in January, you check once in March, and you check once in September,
Okay.
their allergy profiles might be different in all three times. So there might be some that are common, but there might be new ones being added on. So that is kind of a dynamic thing, and that happens because there are new inflammatory antigens that are getting in. So once you fix the issue of the leaky gut, and once you fix the issue of this microbiome that's out of balance, you can address a lot of that new allergies from forming, and you can even reverse to a large extent some of the inflammation that happens.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really cool because a lot of times it's like this is like probably like the root cause to a lot of problems that we perceive as something else.
Yes, chronic fatigue.
We're putting the blame on something else.
Yeah, chronic fatigue, a lot of autoimmune problems, a lot of hormonal problems, a lot of these, even weight gain. If you're suddenly gaining weight and people struggle after making changes to the diet, they still struggle losing weight. It could be because of some gut issues and imbalances that
Okay.
occur.
So would that be like one of the first thing to look at first?
Yes, so I like to actually examine the gut for symptoms. I mean, ask my patients for symptoms that might point towards a gut issue. I
Yes.
try to look away from the symptoms and look at the root causes so that I can address that directly. So once I address that directly, it kind of fixes a few symptoms at one shot. I don't have to address each of those.
Okay, so you don't have to go to a specialist A to fix this, specialist B to fix that, but this is like the base. The
Yes,
base
you
to it
address
all.
the root cause.
The root cause.
So food and gut health are root causes in a lot of inflammatory conditions. Inflammatory bowel disease, IBS,
Yes, I've heard it.
constipation, someone who's got bloatedness, or even to some extent mood changes, someone who's going through depression.
And that's the reason why you said it earlier in the show that the gut, the intestine, is actually the second brain.
That's right. So one of the key compounds that controls our mood, chemicals that controls our mood, is serotonin.
Yes,
Okay.
serotonin.
Yeah, serotonin and dopamine. These are the two big ones. So serotonin, there's a huge amount of serotonin in the gut. So brain and gut have disproportionately high serotonin levels.
So I ate something, it makes me feel whatever chemicals, and could my decision making be based on what I've eaten?
Of course.
Oh, dear.
It's actually, it kind of influences. When you're down, your body craves for something
Yes.
to kind of pump up your mood. And have you ever made the connection that there are certain foods that make you happier for a short time, instantly,
it does.
but then after that, your energy just drops?
It rewards you, then after that, it punishes you.
Yes, it gives you a hit first.
high.
Like a lot of people like to say eat comfort foods,
Yeah.
or like say just go and get some
Dessert,
donut or
yeah.
dessert or something.
Yeah.
So they get that instant fix to their flat mood.
Yes.
And or they feel like they have a craving and then they get that high. The dopamine goes up. They feel happy. But what they don't realize is within like an hour or two, their mood comes back down or even goes lower.
That's what you call a crash, right?
That's called a crash.
And I think they call it a sugar crash or something like that.
Yes, that's right. And that's a cycle. So when it crashes, then they crave again. So they want to like kind of add something more. So that's a cycle that many people are in and out when they're trying to lose weight, because they try to restrict and then they just have all this like they don't feel good. They feel too many cravings coming in. Their mood is bad. Their sleep is bad, and then they start craving for comfort foods, and they just can't sustain it. So
Yep.
these are things that are all related to the gut. Addictions, mood changes, depression is very much. There's a lot of research coming out from the US and Japan and a few other countries where by changing your gut microbiome, like they've done something like a microbiome transplant, like a fecal transplant, where they take like the microbiome from a very healthy, happy person and then transplant it onto someone who's going through major depression, and instantly, within like a few days and a few weeks, that person who's suffering depression completely gets better. Just by doing a
Interesting.
microbiome transplant. And of course, we're not saying that this is an academic
Yes.
exercise, but this is evidence. There's evidence to support that shows that microbiome has a much bigger influence on how one feels or how the mood is and stuff.
Yeah, I know I've been reading up and doing my own research, everything else. I think maybe about 3-4 years ago, this was not very much a topic at all. Very, very few people actually talk about it. But I think recently, okay, especially if you're into medicine and science, and you may not be a doctor, but if you read about it and everything else, you get lots of articles surfacing already. So what we're sharing here is like something
It's
science-based
already
and
it's already
medicine-based.
mainstream now, and especially with the advent of probiotics and people are more
Probiotics.
aware of probiotics. So there's this whole idea of feeding your gut, feeding your microbiome. So probiotics are good bacteria,
Yes.
the gatekeepers. So you want more of that. So you can take them externally as well. Like you must have seen pills or powders of probiotics. Naturally, you can see them in yogurts, in traditional like pickles and
Unsweetened yogurts we're talking about.
yeah. The better ones are those that you make at home, like kefirs, the traditional ones, the
Yep.
kefirs and curds and stuff like that. And also things like kimchi, things
Oh, yeah.
like sauerkraut, things like pickles, which are all like fermented, kombucha teas, tempeh. These are all like very rich fermented foods. And they actually feed your gut. So there's a concept of prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics are things like fiber, which act as fertilizer. Like you add prebiotics and then they kind of boost up the probiotic counts in the body, or you add probiotics directly. So
Very
either
interesting.
way, what they do is they kind of allow your microbiome, the gut microbiome, to become more healthy and resilient. So the common ones that are available off the shelf are species called lactobacillus, bifidobacterium. But the newer ones, they're including more soil probiotics. This is a new thing that's come up now, soil probiotics like bacillus. There's a huge research. There's a recent paper that's come out on how anxiety can be modulated and people can get better by adding bacillus bacteria into the microbiome.
Yes, so as you can see, there's a strong correlation between the food you eat and how you feel, in this whole chain. Now, Doctor, I know you can talk about it all day long because Dr. Reddy is really like, an expert on food and nutrition amongst all the other topics. Any more things before we showcase our guest later on?
Sure. One other thing is about the weight loss. A lot of people have asked us about weight loss and how it
Yes.
goes. So we wanted to talk about intermittent fasting. That's something that's really come into the mainstream
We
now.
can share that with our guest later
Yes.
on. Yes.
And there's a lot of data coming in on that scientifically as well. There are many studies in which people are reversing insulin resistance and diabetes and all that through fasting methods. And the other aspect is also keto diets,
Yes.
which is more of a low carb diet.
Yes.
And how that's impacting the gut microbiome, how that's impacting weight, how that's impacting energy levels and stuff.
And personally, I've been through the keto diet myself. Maybe not so much right now. It has changed my life tremendously. Okay, so it's not a fad diet. It's not something like the Hollywood stars they do. Yes, they do it, but it's beyond just looking good and weight loss.
Yes.
It's much more than that.
Yeah.
So we will share more about the benefits later.
That's
on.
right. And keto diet doesn't have to be, there are different versions of it.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have to go through the same version. Just have to follow that you are eating whole foods, anti-inflammatory foods, and higher proportion of fats. Fats have been demonized for a long
Oh
time.
yes, for the longest
And
time.
that's one of the myths that we busted a few, like last episode.
Yes.
So,
And we're going to say it again and again.
yeah, fats are not bad. What you eat as fats have good fats and bad fats.
Yes.
Eating good fats doesn't lead you to pile up fats or cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what we want to reiterate here, that you can choose your good fats like salmons, like avocados, like
Olive oils.
seeds, like nuts, like olive oils and coconuts. There's a lot of good meats. So we'll talk a lot more about this in the show and how that's very much part of getting healthy and choosing the right foods.
Okay, so coming up shortly, all right, we will be bringing our special guests for this episode. And later on, all right, we're going to lay out on the table all the kind of food that we bought from the supermarket. The video you just saw, there are no camera tricks. It is the same person, and he's going to be sharing his story today. I've known Max on Facebook for the past 9 years, and after witnessing his transformation and inspiring posts, I knew I had to approach him to join us for the show. A warm welcome to our very special guest today, Max Tay, interior designer at his own company, Uber Design House. Welcome to the show, Max.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, Max, I really have to ask you this question. Better say this upfront. Before we review how much you have lost, let's find out what was your life like before your weight loss.
Well, I've been skinny from young, really thin, until I was in my 25,
At 25,
25
okay.
years old, yeah. Then met my wife, and then out of love, I quit smoking. I was a smoker. I quit smoking. And then, that was when the appetite came with a vengeance, because everything tastes so good, suddenly everything tastes
You know,
extra good.
I share the same story with
Yeah.
you. You know, when I quit smoking myself, I was a smoker for 20 years. My goodness, everything tastes so good.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that she loves to eat, so she brought me to all these wonderful places to taste every single one of her favorite dishes. So I was hooked. So then started to eat and balloon up, and I hated exercises, so no exercise at all. So very inactive.
Okay.
And so it just started to balloon up
Right.
until I think I was heaviest was about 103 kg.
Oh my goodness, 3 digits, 103, wow.
It's interesting that you mentioned that when you quit smoking or when you switched from being a smoker to a non-smoker, your appetite went up.
Went up.
Went up.
Yeah.
And essentially what that means is you replaced one kind of a filler or an addiction or a dependence with another kind of filler. And that essentially happens when we don't address the reason why we started
Yes,
smoking.
and we did talk about this in episode 2
Yes.
about addiction.
Yes, and it's a very common phenomenon that many people who quit smoking go through. Because they kind of, when they have this urge to smoke and then they're trying to resist that, they to kind of fill that gap, they have to add in something else.
Right.
Usually it's either food or sport. A lot of people do sports and exercise to replace theirs.
But I hated exercise.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you brought it up because I think that's a common
Yes.
thing that many people experience.
Absolutely agree with you. And what was it like to be inactive for you?
Well, a lot of TV, sitting on the
Okay.
couch, eating. I can eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and then another breakfast at 10 a.m. and then pre-lunch at maybe 11:30 and then actual lunch at 1. Something like that. It's like
What was your favorite food then?
anything is my favorite food. I really believe in a heavy breakfast. So it's like fried noodles, with
Carbs.
the chicken wing, fried. It has to be fried, deep fried chicken wings.
And yes,
eggs.
that's something that we are told again and again that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yes.
And we will talk more about that later on
Oh,
and,
yes.
and bring out what the actual
Yes.
facts are.
Okay, so do you have any ailments back then?
I have chronic back pains. Knee hurts when I try to walk too much. Sending my son to school is really tough because the knee hurts too much when I walk too much. I think it's mainly the weight.
Dr. Reddy, do you agree with it?
Yes, that's true. As you said, if your weight is more than what your body, muscles, and bones can handle, you do have what we call as arthritis and joint pains. But more importantly, it's also a factor of inflammatory food. So when your food that you're consuming is more on the inflammatory side, high carb, refined carbs and stuff, you do get joint pains.
Yeah, carbs, my favorite.
Yeah, and usually for someone who's had a very traditional diet form and older women more commonly tend to get arthritis. You do see the knee problems and the knee replacements. They all set in usually after 60, but we are increasingly seeing a trend where younger people start to have joint problems. It was not the case before, but now with the change in food habits and lifestyle, we see more of that.
Okay,
see.
so Max, why the change?
Why the change? Well, I was really fat. I think at one stage my wife was getting really worried. So she was telling me, you have to do something about the weight. So I was just listening and okay, I'll start doing it someday, So one night after dinner, I sat down on my favorite armchair watching TV and I was enjoying it. And suddenly it's like really difficult to breathe. You know, it started getting difficult to
Oh.
breathe, and I got really worried. That night, I got really, really worried.
Oh.
So I said, okay, I think I better do something about it. So it just so happened that it was January last year, so school was reopening. So I started walking my son to school, which is 1 km away.
Oh, that's a good start. 1 kilometer.
Yeah,
1
kilometers
km
walk.
away, walk him, and then walk back.
Okay.
And even that, I was already breathless, you know, by the end of it. So
Okay.
then I started taking longer walks lah. After I sent him, I started to stretch it a little bit. Every week I stretched a little bit, you know. Knees hurt, so I started wearing braces on both sides. Wearing braces, I walk, and then one day, I think it was Chinese New Year in February, my wife was on leave.
This year?
Last year.
Last year.
Last
So
year.
my wife was on leave, so she said, I'm going to join you for the morning walk. I said, fine, let's go.
Yeah.
So we started walking, but she found it so boring walking. So she said, I'm going to run. I said, wait, I cannot run. My knees hurt. So she just started running further and further. So I started chasing after her and started
So
running.
you're chasing her.
Yeah,
Chase
all
her
running.
again.
I said, hey, I can run. You know, I can actually run.
Okay.
It wasn't very far. It was like maybe 200, 300 meter. So, but the realization that I can actually start to run, I think at that stage, maybe a little bit of the weight was off already.
Yeah.
You know, so then every week again, I started to add a little bit of running into my walks. So then I start to stretch my run further and further until I could do the whole thing in running without walking. So it's like 2 km, 3 km, 5 km. I did 5 km for the longest time.
So where are you right now? I mean, you have progressively increased your distance. So where are you right now?
Well, the furthest distance I've run is about 21 km. Which
That's
is
half a marathon.
Half a marathon, yeah.
Yes.
Then I try to run 10 km every other day. So it's like 10 km today, then 5 km the next day, then 10 km again, something like that. But
It's amazing that how he took up the habit of running, starts off with a walk with a very short distance, then builds up. Consistency is the key there. The son your kid goes to the school every day, so you get to walk every day. And then when you realized you want to run, you could run, and then you made that a habit. And then slowly and steadily, you've increased the distance that you've covered.
I had to, the knees hurt.
No, but I see a lot of people give up when they encounter a block like a knee pain. They'll say, it's not for me, my knees hurt, I'm so worried that I might fall and stuff like that.
It's very interesting that you bring that up because one of the things I told myself was no matter what, no stopping. There's no excuses. Every day I got to run.
Yeah.
Make
Wow.
sure you go out and run every day. If you are in pain, your knee's in pain, you go for a walk. Okay?
I love it. I love it. When I was talking to Max earlier, before our shoot started, I realized his pattern, how he adopted to habit change, is textbook. It's everything that we say, how you do a habit. Don't jump into it. Don't try to overdo it. But
Right.
once you do it, stick with it, and give yourself that permission to say, okay, if I want to take a break, take a break. If I don't want to go, I want to go through it at the pace that you're comfortable with. And I realized that you've done it really well that way.
Thank you.
And that's why I felt very inspired by the story that you shared, how you take photos on the run to keep yourself engaged, interested.
Okay.
You mixed your hobby into the run, and wow,
Right.
it's a very inspiring story.
Now, can I
you.
just check, does your knee hurt anymore?
Oh, surprisingly, I don't even need to wear braces anymore. So now I run without braces. It's like
Wonderful.
so
Wow.
yeah,
Wonderful.
So wonderful.
What would you think would be the result of that?
As you said, one thing, he's lost a ton of weight.
weights, okay.
Yeah, later he will reveal how much he's lost.
Yes.
And it's a wow. And plus, you've also changed the way you eat. So that also plays a role in your inflammation going down, your joints becoming more flexible
Yes.
and more functional. And your overall, I think you've become more toned. So that kind of improves your muscle structure as well. So there's a few changes that have happened from what you shared.
Okay. Would the muscles also come in
Of course,
on this?
of course. You tone, right?
Yep.
When you're like regularly exercising and walking and running, you tone, your body tones. When you're toning, you also at the same time improve your metabolism. So your energy gets better, and all the redundant joints that you've not used now tend to move, and it's like oiling a machine. And the more oil it is, the
think I
better
was-
it gets.
I was on the brace for a whole year. It was only early this year that I started taking it off on and off. And then I think it was only a few months ago that I totally took it
Took it off.
Yeah, took it off. So
Now, do you run alone or do you work out
I
with a group?
usually run alone, but recently I have started running with this group of friends.
Oh.
We call ourselves the Slow Runners Club.
I
Yeah.
bet they are anything but slow.
No, we are slow. We purposely run slow to bring the heart
Oh.
rate down, so
Okay.
that you can sustain. For
Right.
It's also amazing because when I was talking to him about like his community, how they motivate each other and how they get to get together, the group is actually helping him like bring that community aspect, which we spoke about in our last episode, where we talk about how important community is in kind of making these lifestyle changes easier, and it's like you bounce off the energy from each other, and it just comes out really well because it helps you with your socializing aspect, it helps you with your exercise. There's a lot to it.
It's very true because for the whole year last year I was running alone. I call myself a solo runner. So whole year I was running alone. It was only this year that I started getting to know some friends on social media. Then we started running together a little bit. You know, it keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
only so much you can do alone. You know, then there's so much information you can learn from them. You know, they can teach you a lot of things.
Yeah. And not only that, I've been witnessing your social media. You enjoy taking your pictures on your run, everything else.
Oh, his pictures are amazing. I just love it.
Amazing. And the locations, what I understand from you is you actually use your Strava app and everything else, and also Google Map
Yeah.
to look for different locations around Singapore to run.
It's now a hobby, you know. When I have some time, I'll sit down on the Strava, Google, and then I start to plot a route. You know, where's the furthest I can go, the most interesting place I can go. So I was just sharing with Dr. Reddy just now. Ever since the circuit breaker period, the places that I run downstairs from my house, a lot of runners suddenly comes out. You know, a lot of new runners. So it's becoming very difficult to keep ourselves
During the circuit
distance
breaker, a lot
ourselves.
more people suddenly became active.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I
could see
started
from
looking
that.
for a new place to run with not so much. And then I live near a cemetery. So I started running at the cemetery.
Can I know what time you run at the cemetery?
Okay, I usually run from 6 a.m. But because
okay.
this is a cemetery, I make sure I'm not at a cemetery before before the sun is up.
But I'm pleasantly surprised because he shared some photos on social media
Yes.
of the cemetery. The place just looks so beautiful.
It is. It is.
It's so quaint. It doesn't feel like you're running in Singapore. It's like nature. The paths are like
Yes.
like very. It's got a different terrain. And I thought, wow, it's a beautiful place to run.
It is.
And it's one place where you will never get transmission of viruses.
Yeah, exactly. I hardly ever come across another pedestrian, you know. Hardly.
No, I've been to the cemetery at 3 a.m. before, and it's peaceful. Nothing scary, but just peaceful.
Yeah, it's
and
actually a
it's
really
quiet.
peaceful, very tranquil place.
Very, very nice feeling.
So that's a new place for people to go and explore. And I think NParks has gotten crowded.
There goes
during
my
the
route,
period.
man. There
So
goes my route.
just explore the cemetery nearby.
I think it's time
You
for me
did not
to
hear it at our show. Okay, let's do something really fun. Okay, I think a lot of people have been waiting for the big review. Every show we review something about guests. So this time round, there's something common amongst the three of us. Now the three of us here have got something to share, and this is where the three of us actually has lost weight over the course of maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? Was it for you 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, mine is a little shorter than that. Mine is
Okay.
about maybe about 6 to 7. Maybe close to a year now.
Yeah. Okay.
Close to a year when that switch happened and I changed some of my diet habits.
Right.
And I wanted to get healthier. That's about a year for me.
Okay. So for you, it'll be 2 years.
No, 1.5
1.5 years.
Yeah.
Myself, probably, about 1.5, 2 years, not more than 2 years. Okay, so let's have a bit of competition. Okay, I'm
Okay.
going to grab some
Ooh, I like it.
board and pen.
Game on, man.
I like it.
Okay, so what we are going to do is, firstly, all right, have you?
Great for you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
let's first round. Let's see now. Okay, let's play for supper tonight. Oops. Okay. We are gonna challenge each other to see how much waist size have we gone down.
right.
Okay, let's start with the original waist size
Okay.
and where you are right now.
Do you want to write it down in the same time?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're gonna write this down.
Before and after.
Yes. Before where you are and where you are right now. Okay, let's let me see. I'm gonna review my answer, followed by Sankeet, and We're going to get Max to do it,
All right.
okay? This was my waist size, the big review. So it is 38 inches down to 32. So I've lost 6 inches.
Interesting, man.
Hey, what about you, Dr. Reddy?
Mine, ta-da! So mine is from 36 to 32.
Mm.
So I was 36 1 year ago, and now I have a completely new wardrobe at 32.
Wow,
I'm
okay.
still going down.
I think we can share pants. Maybe a bit I got to roll up the
I'm so proud of this.
Okay, so Max.
Yep.
Ooh.
Actually, not very much different. I was 38, and now I'm 31.
Wow, that's like 7 inches off.
He's a winner.
So it's the winner here.
He's a winner.
Slight margin.
Okay, winner got to buy supper. Okay, let's change it a bit. Okay, next, the weight. Okay, you'd like to just rub it off, okay?
Yeah, sure.
The weight, how much weight have you lost? Original weight, and after that, the present weight.
Alright.
We are not endorsing anything, okay? We got no sponsors for this, we're just having a bit of fun. So, but if you'd like to sponsor, get in contact with us.
Get in contact with Max
Okay,
Tay.
so the weight. All right, where were you originally from? From a year ago or whatever, to where you are now.
All right.
Okay, let's see now. You want to go first?
Yeah.
Dr. Reddy? Okay,
Ta-da!
94 to 80
Interesting.
kg. That's 14
14 kilos.
14 almost say kilometers, but kilograms of.
Hey, wait. Winner by supper.
Okay, change it. No problem. Okay, next up. Okay, so you have lost 14 kg.
kilos, yeah.
Okay, this is my answer. 93
Good
down
job.
to 75. Actually, it was 72, but circuit breaker, I had a bit too much of sugar. Okay, so it
Ice
went
cream.
back up.
Ice cream to be
Ice
specific.
cream and carbs, so I went up, but I can easily lose this if I choose to go back onto my diet. So 93 minus 75, that's 18 kg,
18
right?
kilos,
18
yeah.
kilograms. Okay,
About
so I've
that.
lost 18 kilograms.
All right.
Now, we have
Is
seen
my
this
turn?
video earlier on. What is it, Max?
I was 103 kg. I'm 73 now.
Oh my
Voila!
goodness!
30 kilos.
30 kilograms.
Holy moly.
Okay.
Holy moly.
All right.
So you have a winner
So there's some testament. So again, we're not here to show off or anything like that. But hopefully, the three of us, we have put in the effort. So maybe, is to give you a bit of inspiration, especially if you're watching it on the couch right now with a bag of potato chips and enjoying the show. It can be done. All right, it can be done. And the benefits for you guys of losing weight?
For me, what my biggest benefit was, I felt really good getting back into shape. I used to play like college basketball way back, and after some injuries, I got pretty sedentary after work, got busy and stuff. So now I'm trying to get back to more active. So I do a lot of cross training, CrossFit training and stuff now, occasional cycling. So I'm trying to consciously put in a little bit more active lifestyle. So my metabolism has improved, my sleep has improved.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel good about myself. And also my moods improved a lot more than before. Before I used to feel, there are times of the day when I feel a little bit flat, but now I feel more energized during that time. So that's something that I noticed for myself.
What
What
about
about you, Max?
Well, mine is very simple. My selfies on Instagram started looking better.
Don't have to use any filters.
That's a good motivation.
So I'm really happy with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I start to be able to wear the clothes that I could never even dream about squeezing myself into. I used to go into the boutique, look at the clothes that I want to wear, and then none of them I can fit. I was so frustrated. So, well, it's very good, very nice for me now that, any clothes I want, I can actually wear it nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. For me, one thing I realized, I sleep a lot better. I don't snore anymore. Most importantly, I did a test. At 93, I actually had a check on my blood pressure, mid to high blood pressure. Now, normal. Okay, so that's the biggest benefit for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I had the same issue with snoring when I was at 94.
Me too, man.
And you too?
Yeah.
Are you three? And so because once I lost weight, I think somewhere around 85 onwards, my snoring completely disappeared. And my partner is a testament to that. She says she sleeps better because I don't snore. So I was like, wow, that's a good impact on the relationship as well. And one good thing that I thought you brought up is the blood pressure. Your blood pressure too stabilized and went down.
Yep.
And I guess weight loss does that.
Yep.
Not purely because of weight loss, but because you've made changes to your diet, you're sleeping better as well. So that kind of brings down the blood pressure.
Yes. I see.
And that's a very big gain, actually.
Yes, it
a lot of
is.
people don't see that as a gain, but that saves you. Blood pressure is one of the biggest killers from heart disease. So if you're able to bring down the blood pressure, you've essentially added 5 to 10 years to your life.
Oh, thank goodness. Now, well, we've talked about the weight gain and weight loss and everything else, but maybe we go back to the dietary changes for you, Max. What do you used to eat and what do you eat now?
Actually, to be honest, not a lot of difference, but the quantity has all shrunk. I eat less. It used to be I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, in whatever quantity I want. There's no restriction. But when I started consciously trying to lose weight, I started to eat less. I try to bring down the portion, and then also another thing very important. Another very important point is I started eating more home cooked meals. So it's more balanced. I don't really believe in cutting out whatever kind of food, what type of food. I believe all of them are important, but I try to bring down the quantity.
So you would say you're a flexitarian.
What?
Flexitarian.
Flexitarian. So flexitarian is someone who eats anything and everything, but on the healthier range, of course. But you're not like, oh, you're just purely keto or purely plant-based or purely protein or things like that.
I love that word, man.
Flexitarian.
Flexitarian. That's a very good word.
That's great because it goes on to show that weight loss can be achieved without having to really restrict yourself from your favorite foods, as long as you make a conscious, healthy switch. So once you make that, then
But two things I've cut out totally. That one is sugared water, sugared drinks,
Soda.
Coke. The other thing is candies. I was very addicted to mint.
Okay.
So I've cut that totally out. I think these two may be playing a major role.
Yes, they are both processed. They're processed sugars, so you managed to cut that out.
Yeah, and
That's
ever
good.
since I've lost the weight, I find when I eat potato chips, I get bloated very easily. So I don't even want to touch it anymore.
Yeah, it's probably the oils in it more than the carbs.
Which you also mentioned something about home cooked food. What's the difference between home cooked food and outside food?
Okay, so I think home cooking gives you a lot more leeway to choose your ingredients right. So you choose good quality ingredients. Like for me also, I made that big switch. Before when I was working, I just eat in the cafe or in the restaurants. But now I consciously prepare my meals at home. So it's a little bit time consuming, but it's totally worth it because I choose organic ingredients, I choose good oils. One of the big things that we can control when we're cooking is choose the right oil to cook.
And we could talk about it
Yes,
later
so
on.
we'll talk about more of that. And even if you're a vegetarian, you can choose good organic ingredients. Milk, you can choose good quality milk. So there's a lot of things that you can choose right.
Okay, and I heard that recently you have just joined us on IF, which is intermittent fasting.
Yep. I only just started at the start of the circuit breaker. Well, the thing is, my wife likes to cook, and because of the circuit breakers, she's at home, every day. So she started planning. Oh, I'm going to cook this. I'm going to cook that. So everything looks very, very yummy. So I think it's a good time for me to start intermittent fasting to control it. So surprisingly, from the start of the circuit breaker till now, I've actually lost 5 kg.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Even though I've been eating all the good stuff.
Yeah. So what format are you doing? Like for intermittent fasting, what's the window you're doing?
I'm doing 16/8, so 8 hours of window. 8 hours window for
That's
food.
very good. That's very good.
All right. Any tips on intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I guess
with
intermittent
keto, maybe?
fasting.
Yep.
Yeah, keto or intermittent fasting together do miracles for
Yes,
a lot of
it does.
people, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to bring to the show because that's one trend which has stuck. At least in the last 5 years, I've been hearing more and more people getting good benefits from that combination, keto plus intermittent fasting. But even if they're doing pure intermittent fasting, just choosing the right ingredients and cutting down a little bit of the refined stuff, they get really good results. Not just weight loss, but overall healthy.
Yes.
The inflammations go down, the insulin resistance goes down, blood pressure goes down, they sleep better, better energy. So there's a lot of benefits to that.
Yeah. I think at the last show we talked about getting healthy to lose weight. I think this is the concept behind
Yes,
it.
don't lose weight to get healthy, but get healthy to lose weight. So intermittent fasting works really well. I think immaterial of the age group, immaterial of the body type, immaterial of the traditional cultural background, intermittent fasting is one thing that works really well to reverse some of the unhealthy eating habits and health conditions. So you just add on good keto on top of that, it just multiplies it by 2. Okay, but I guess each of that can be done separately too.
It can be. Now, from a smoker who was overweight and inactive to where he's right now, fitter, healthier, and more energetic, what is one word of advice that you'd like to give to all our friends out there?
I think
Maybe the first step. Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know about any advice, but just go out and do it. Just don't think about it anymore. Just go out and do it. To me, I think it's a total shift of mindset. You change your lifestyle. Don't even think about cheat day. No need to think about cheat day. Just change your lifestyle. Go for a healthier you. I think the benefits is really, really great.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. When you love what you're doing and when you're having fun,
Yeah.
Yes.
there's no need for a
Fun is the
break.
word.
All right.
The fun is in everything you do. Like he enjoys running and
Yeah.
walking and taking pictures and meeting people and organizing runs and stuff.
And not feeling bloated all the time.
Yeah, and and why take a cheat day for that?
Yeah.
He's enjoying it every moment.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no need for cheat day.
So I guess that's the big switch that I think many people, once they get that, then there's no need for a cheat day.
All right. All right. With that, okay, we have come to the end of the guest segment where we have got Max Tay. Once again, thank you very much for joining us at the show.
Thank you for having
now,
me.
we are going to come back later on, okay, and we're going to reset the stage because we have got all the food stuff coming your way.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. Yes. We'll see you shortly.
All right, see ya.
And welcome back to the show. Now, we've been talking about food throughout the episode. So, what I've decided is to bring to you, okay, the full array of food that I've raided from my kitchen. So, Dr. Sankip is here to tell us more about the different food. And like we said, okay, health food doesn't need to taste like cardboard. It can be delicious as well. All right, so are we ready to go through this?
Let's rock and roll.
All right, let's do
and
this.
by the way,
yes.
men who can cook are the best.
Oh, yes, definitely. All right, we're not just eating, there to eat everything else, okay? We actually know our food.
Yeah.
Okay, first thing first, all right, let's bring on one of my favorite for my salads. This is kale, all right? And it's rated like the #1 choice, all right, when it comes to vegetables and stuff like that. Why is it, doctor?
Yeah, but I think kale's a very recent development. It's been as a vegetable for many, many years, but it's gained a lot of popularity in the last few years, especially because more and more people have started eating vegetables and salads.
Salads, yep.
So I think spinach and kale got a big acceptance because they are easy to mix with the other vegetables and they form a very good base for
Yes.
salads.
Correct.
And they are nutritionally packed. So we would like to actually divide food colors based on the nutrients.
Yes.
So I think kale, spinach, broccoli, bok choy, all these come into a green group, which is very rich in iron, very rich in vitamin B, and cruciferous vegetables have tons of antioxidant benefits.
Yes, okay, so instead of lettuce, okay, well, it just costs a little bit more, and you can get actually kale at the major supermarkets.
Well,
so,
the nutrient profile for kale is a lot better than lettuce.
yes, okay, so go for kale. So, next up, okay, what I've brought is this, okay, the humble lemon, but it's no longer humble because what I do is every morning, all right, I will have a very nice cup of warm lemon juice. And it really hydrates the body, plus a lot of benefits like...
Yeah, me too. I love lemon juice, especially with a little bit of pink Himalayan salt to start the day off.
Oh,
it
lovely.
kind of gives you the electrolytes you need, prevents muscle cramps. I love to exercise in the mornings, so it kind of is a good pre-exercise drink to kind of keep me hydrated and active, and it wakes me up.
Yep.
So the other thing I also love about morning drinks is apple cider vinegar with
ACV.
lemon in it. Yeah, that's a very good combination too, especially for weight loss, especially for gut health and stuff. So what is lemons? What is lemon rich in? Lemon is ideally a orange food group where the phytonutrients that are predominant in orange is vitamin C. There's a lot of citrus bioflavonoids as well, which are antioxidants, anti-aging, really good for collagen formation. So if someone's looking for good skin, beauty, vitamin C it is.
Okay, and of course, same color. And of course, Dr. Sankey has been asking me to eat more colors, everything else. So another one that I have is the pepper.
Yeah, so the bell peppers, I think you have different varieties. Red one, green one, yellow one.
Yep.
And I think some places have orange too. So these, all of them have different profiles. So the yellow one that we have here has tons of bioflavonoids as well. It's got vitamin C in it, very good in fiber. It's a very good prebiotic. The only thing when you you remember when you're buying peppers, please make sure that they are organic because bell peppers have the highest content of pesticides.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So even if you wash them, sometimes it's very hard to remove pesticides that are within the fruit or that have seeped in. So choose peppers, bell peppers especially, that are organic and they're very tasty, very nutritious, and they can go either cooked or with salads.
Okay, one thing that I know I add with my salad is my son's favorite cucumber. I don't know why he likes cucumber. I find it all right. It's a bit bland, but what are benefits of the cucumber?
So cucumbers is got a lot of water content in it. So it kind of cuts down your cravings and it kind of satiates you because of the fiber content, because of the water content. It's a lot of vitamins in it, water-soluble vitamins and minerals too. So how I like to eat cucumber is I usually chop them up and add them to my salad, to a bowl of salad. Sometimes I like to just make them into veggie sticks and eat them with either hummus or even just plain salt and chili powder. Yeah, so that's a good snack to kind of give you that little punch when you want to eat something.
Right. So we're not just talking about salads here, okay? But we also talk about Asian cooking. And how can we not talk about Asian cooking without all the various ingredients that we have here? All right, the onion, so the garlic and the ginger, okay?
So onion is ubiquitous for Indian food. There's a saying that if the onion prices go up, the chances of the government losing is high. I mean, you add everything, onion to everything that you cook, like all the curries have onions and stuff like that.
Yes.
So onion's a very interesting profile to it. So it's under the group of white colored foods, and it's got a very unique compound called quercetin in it, which is anti-inflammatory. So it really helps your gut. It's a prebiotic. It modulates immunity. It kind of prevents autoimmune problems by adjusting immune function. And onion and turmeric together are one of the most potent
this is the
one of the
turmeric.
most potent anti-inflammatory foods available in nature.
Okay. All right. So the ginger and garlic,
So
same thing?
ginger is also very high in anti-inflammatory properties, very, very good for anti-inflammatory properties. Both ginger and garlic are strong cardioprotective. That means the properties that they have protect the heart and the vessels, especially garlic, especially black garlic. There's a lot of nutrients and antioxidant properties that kind of protect your heart.
Yes.
Protect the blood, protect the heart.
Okay. So I also brought in some vegetables. Okay, it's more common for Asian cooking. Okay, the bak choy, okay, pai cai, and broccoli. All right.
Yeah, so this is again example of the green vegetable group. Bok choy and broccoli both are very rich in chlorophyll or iron content. So that's why they're green colored. They have tons of vitamins in it, very good fiber. Especially broccoli is super rich with antioxidant properties, and they have something called that modulate some phytonutrients that modulate your hormones as well, especially the female hormones. They balance it out. Anti-cancer properties. So this has been gaining a lot of popularity. I know broccoli traditionally gets a bad rap, saying that it's not tasty, children don't like to eat it and
Oh,
stuff.
my kids love broccoli.
And I love to make roasted broccoli with some butter and lots of pepper. I like a little bit of charred taste to it, and I pretty much eat it with all my steaks and everything.
Right.
So
You mentioned butter.
Yeah.
So once again, to all the audience out there, butter, is a healthy fat.
That's right. That's right. We didn't get a chance to discuss that in detail, so I'm just going to drop it here. So butter is one of the saturated fat sources. It's been previously deemed unhealthy, and there's been a lot of debate about how much to eat, whether it's causing more heart problems or not. So butter has a very unique fatty acids, which is
Yes.
called butyrate, which is very important for your gut bacteria to thrive. So having a little bit of butter, whether it's applying on your veggies and roasting them, or even like skewing, grilling your vegetables, or even like having butter itself on your toast or sourdough toast or whatever, it adds the element of the fatty acids to you.
So this is like another myth demystified.
That's right.
Already.
Recently, there's a trend, something called the bulletproof coffee. I don't know if you've heard
yes,
that,
I've
where
heard
they
it.
add butter
Butter
to
to
the coffee.
yes.
And that kind of satiates you longer because of the fat content in it. So good quality butter is important. Grass-fed butter,
Okay.
organic butter is much better than what you get commercially.
Since we're on a roll on demystifying all these myths that we have, butter versus margarine.
Okay, so margarine is processed. Margarine comes from a vegetable source.
Yes.
It's basically a chemical process where the vegetable oils are extracted and then solidified to become that consistency. So that has a lot of downsides, very highly inflammatory. So as much as possible, I advise my patients not to take margarine,
Yep.
but instead choose a more natural source, which is butter.
Okay, that's one big myth that we've just specified.
And butter is very good. It's a mood food. It adds a delicious flavor to the food that you cook it in.
Yes.
It's got very high melting points, so you can kind of
Yes.
heat it up to a higher temperature compared to vegetable oils. So it's got a lot of benefits. So use more of that.
Okay, since we are on fats, okay, two of my favorite things as protein that I like to add into my salads, we have the bacon and the patty.
Okay.
A lot of people will say, no, this is unhealthy. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's again another myth, right? That
Yes.
fats, traditionally red meats, are bad for you. So there is a truth and a myth in that.
Yes.
So the truth is red meats are a lot processed. And if you don't know where the source is, the chances of it having antibiotics and other growth hormones being injected into animals, it's possible. I know Singapore does some kind of screening to choose the source of meat where they don't use all these hormones and other stuff. But that's something that you guys need to be aware of. Red meats have that potential that they might have growth hormones and stuff. The other thing is also to preserve things like bacon and patties. People add nitrates. Okay, they are the most commonly used preservatives, which are carcinogenic. That means they can cause cancer.
Ah,
So when you buy bacon or sausages or
Right.
patties, make sure that they are nitrate free.
that means they're not processed at all.
That's right. And they can be processed,
But with more
the
care?
shelf life is not as much as those that are available with nitrate. So they have to be consumed faster.
Okay.
So it's harder to get, but look out for these sources. There are places where they do sell bacon, which is nitrate free, and sausages that are nitrate free,
Right.
which are much more delicious and much more healthier.
All right. So next up, I've brought along a couple of stuff that most people might not really add into their Asian diets, everything else. So I've got my olives. I love olives. Parsley. There is some secrets behind the parsley. And sprouts. Doctor would like to take us through the benefits of all these three.
So that's an interesting fact that you said it's not part of the Asian diet.
Yep.
But interestingly, parsley, the Asian
Yes,
version of it is the coriander. So it's pretty much also prevalent in Indian cooking. I'm not sure how much of it is there in the Asian variety.
Well, in Chinese cooking, it's more like a garnish.
I see.
Yeah, there's so much good properties coming out from it.
It's medicinal. It's got a lot of properties. Most herbs have medicinal properties. They have a lot of anti-inflammatory and immune-mediating functions.
Yes.
So that's something that you can always add it to your juice, or even add it to your salad, or even cook it with your curry.
Yeah.
Sprouts, interesting one, whether it's alfalfa or bean sprouts, or we call it tauge, right?
Tauge,
So most of them have very high vitamin content. And especially for mung bean sprouts or bean sprouts, when you allow them to sprout too long, then the protein content reduces and the fiber content increases.
So you got to get them young.
Yes, the seed form has very less protein content. It's more because all the food is stored for the seed to germinate. But once you allow the seed to germinate, that means once you're germinating the seeds, a lot of the carbs get used up and a lot of the protein is left behind. So there's a disproportionately high amount of protein in sprouts.
Right.
When you catch them young. So I like to take sprouts raw, like a salad. Like I mix them up with vegetables, and I make like tomatoes. I add my own olive oil or balsamic, and then I make my own sprouts dressing, sprouts salad, and I love it. It keeps me full for the whole day because it's high fiber, high protein, and it works really well.
Okay. So the olives.
Olives, on the other hand, is like the priced food for Mediterranean kind of diet.
The Mediterranean diet.
Yes, whether it's pickled, whether you want to eat fresh olives into into your salads, or whether it's in the form of olive oil. All of it has its own benefits.
Yep.
Let me just add on about oils here, since we are on the topic. So olive oil is one of the more healthier oils that are available for us right now.
Yep.
And it's got a pretty good melting point as well. So it allows you to use it for both raw consumption, like as a salad dressing, and also to kind of use for light cooking purposes. That means you can't do deep fries, but you can like saute or grill and stuff with olive oil.
And for salads, okay, normally what I do is I will get the extra virgin version of it.
Yes.
And like I mentioned earlier on, I've really swapped all my oils to olive oil, And it's pretty affordable, I must say.
Yeah, so I should give you a little hint on this. So centrifuged oils are a lot better because they preserve the natural nutrients in the oil. So if you can get an extra virgin olive oil that's a centrifuge process, that preserves the benefits of olive.
Well, I've learned something on that.
Yes.
Okay.
And on that note, so there's a lot of oils that are healthier and not healthier. The good ones are avocado oil,
coconut
to
oil.
some extent coconut oil. Not very frequent use of coconut oil because it's higher in saturated fats.
And the taste takes a bit of liking to it.
Yes, that's right. But coconut oil has got a lot of benefits as well. It's got very high portions of the MCT oils, so which are now coming out. I mean, there's a lot of studies coming out saying how important it is for your overall brain health, to prevent neurodegenerative diseases, and also to kind of keep the gut going and to keep your metabolism in a good range.
Go Google it. MCT oil is highly recommended.
So there's a lot of reviews on that. So coconut oil is another one where the melting point is high, so you can use it for deep frying.
Right.
So there's butter, there's ghee, which are more of an animal source, but also quite good. Traditionally, people have been using lards and tallows also for cooking, which also have very high melting points, and in fact are much, much better than vegetable oils or palm oils because they don't have very high melting points. They're not bad oils. You can eat them raw, but when you cook them, there's a lot of inflammatory byproducts that come by.
Yep.
And those can be quite detrimental, sometimes even carcinogenic, leading to high cancers and metabolic problems.
Okay.
So just watch out for those oils.
Okay, a couple of purples. Purple cabbage and blueberries. Okay, two separate things altogether. But again, I love adding colors to my salads.
That's right. Beautiful colors, ain't it? So
It
that
is.
forms into the blue and purple, blue, black, and purple group of the food. Very high in anthocyanins and a compound called resveratrol, which has been proven to have a lot of anti-aging benefits. So the purple cabbage, as you said, you can eat it with salads. You can even grill it. You can apply olive oil and just like saute and eat it. It's tasty and delicious.
Right.
And the blueberries is one of my favorite fruits. I can't wait to just pop
Okay,
one.
okay. We'll just sneak one.
Yeah, and it's rich in a lot of antioxidants. Super tasty. Add to your yogurts, add to your juices. You can eat them fresh. Also choose organic varieties because they too have more pesticides or even molds growing on them. So
Now,
choose right.
For some people who like, keto, in a keto diet, they probably encourage you not to take fruits. Well, you can actually use this as a substitute for the regular oranges and apples because the sugar level of this is not really that high, and most important, the GI
Yeah.
is pretty low.
That's a good point that you made, Water, that blueberries is kind of keto friendly. So they're not all fruits are keto friendly because based on the glycemic index or the sugar levels, some foods are good, some foods are not good. But blueberries is one of those foods which is acceptable. It doesn't screw up with your ketogenic diets. And so blueberry is one thing that I guess you can introduce more of into your food.
And for those people on to keto, you probably know this. All right, this is the avocado.
This is a miracle fruit.
Superfood.
This is a miracle fruit.
This is a superfood.
Traditionally, I was not exposed to avocado growing
Yes.
up. My exposure to avocado only started maybe a couple of years ago when I was a vegetarian before, and that's when to add in more fats into my
healthy
diet,
fats, yep.
I started eating avocado. And yes, avocado is loaded with tons of nutrients. It's got lots of vitamins in it, healthy fats, amazing amounts of fiber, and it's super good. It satiates you. Just adding a little bit of it to the salad or even to the egg scrambled egg. I love to eat avocado and scrambled egg.
A lot of Instagrammers will probably say avocado toast.
Yes, avocado toast, especially on a sourdough. I mean, it's trending now, and it's got a lot of benefits to it. So adding more of avocado is definitely good for your gut, good for your brains, good for your nerves, and good for your mood.
Yep.
So that's something that we can add more of.
Another thing that most Asians don't grow up on is actually cheese. I've got mixed review on cheese because when I started on the keto diet, actually I had a lot of cheese. But in one of the tests that I did, I can't remember what's the name of the test. But as a Chinese, as an Asian, okay, my ancestors did not actually eat a lot of cheese, so it's something not prescribed for me. But once in a while, I do dig on the cheese.
Yeah, so cheese is good for some. Like some people are genetically made to digest milk proteins better.
Yes.
Asians, traditionally, there's not much dairy in the Chinese diet.
Yep.
I mean, Japan has a little bit of it, but for the Chinese, it's not that much. Indians have a lot of dairy consumption. But then it's again the matter of how good is your dairy sauce. Is the dairy sauce from a very, like, the cows, are they fed with GMO grains? Are they fed with grass? So even that makes a big difference to the quality of milk that you drink.
Yep.
So, of course, if you get cheese that is off the mill, where the cows are loaded with hormones and the cows are fed with grains and other stuff, your cheese is going to have all that effect that has been in the cow, all the chemicals or whatever has gone into it, and then it's going to have inflammatory processes going on when you eat it. So choose your cheese wisely.
Yes.
Choose those that are grass-fed, from grass-fed sources and organic sources. There's some brands that are very particular that I recommend to my patients when they're eating dairy.
Okay, and we did talk about the egg, and this is something that I'm quite familiar for the past 1 week. because I've tried. Dr. Reddy actually recommend me to go on an egg diet, okay, just to see how it goes in healing my inflammation. So eggs, we demystified it last week.
Yeah.
And now this is the thing is I had like 11, 12 a day in my egg diet. So yeah, maybe just to sum it up for
Yeah,
people.
so eggs traditionally, I think people have a misconception that the egg yolks are bad. But as you said, the eggs are a whole source of protein and fat.
Fat and
So they come with a good source of good fats, vitamin. There's a good content of biotin in it. There's vitamin D in it. So eggs were demonized in the past. So now there's more awareness around it, and more people are eating it. As I said, if you're trying to build up, it's got leucine in it, which is one of the key amino acids for building muscle. So it keeps you fuller, it builds you up, it tones you, especially when you're working out, and even when you're kind of eating healthy, right? Egg is something that you can add.
Yep.
So egg and cheese are traditionally good protein sources. They have a good amount of fat as well. So please feel free to add in eggs regularly to your diet.
All right, we've talked about olive oil. Yes.
On that note,
Yes.
Eggs, choose the barn eggs or the free-range eggs over the caged ones,
Yeah.
because caged ones are the commercially farmed eggs, and
The
again,
chickens are
it's-
more stressed.
yes, stressed chickens produce poor quality eggs, and even though the macros of it is not like so much different, but these small amounts, the minerals, for free roaming chickens to eat worms and grains that are naturally available in the wild, the quality of the eggs is different. Of course, the pricing is going to be different. The free range ones are going to be more expensive, but the taste profile and the nutrient profile does matter.
Okay, so we talked about the olive oil already. So something that I always add to my salad instead of what I used to do is I used to find all the different kind of sweet sauce, the honey mustard sauce, the salad sauce, creamy salad sauce. But this is the thing to go for, the balsamic vinegar. Why do you reckon that?
So interesting that you chose to bring this, because balsamic vinegar is one of the easiest dressings you can keep. You don't have to mix it with anything. You can just pour vinegar onto the salad bowl and
Drizzle
eat
it,
it.
yep.
And it's delicious. It's evergreen.
It is.
And the nutrient profile is just amazing. So they have vinegar and olive oils. That there's a process how they make it. It's one of the classic Italian recipes that is available. And it does, even in the blue zones that we spoke about,
Yep.
people traditionally take a lot of balsamic vinegar. They eat it with breads, they eat it with their salads, they eat it with their vegetables. So traditionally, this has a very good nutrient profile, and it's been proven to have a lot of health benefits because of the fermentation, because of the vinegar in it,
Yep.
the acidic profile that it has. It's got some antimicrobial properties as well. So it's got its own benefits.
And a bottle like this actually can last quite long. You'll be surprised.
Yes.
Bottle of creamy salads and everything else.
Even if you eat salad every day, I think it'll last you for more than a month.
Yeah, about a month. I'm still on my last bottle, so this is a brand new bottle I just bought, and it doesn't cost too much also.
Yep.
Yep. So the last one, okay, we did talk about the turmeric powder earlier on. So we also mentioned in our previous set kimchi.
Yeah. So kimchi is a fermented food, so it's very rich in probiotics. At the same time, you also get the benefits of eating the cabbage and the Chinese cabbage and other stuff that goes into the fermentation process, the vegetables. It kind of adds a lot of character, and it also adds a lot of nutrients to the whole mix. So it not only has the vitamins and minerals, but it's loaded with very good bacteria that are protective, that help a lot of your functions that we spoke about earlier, your mood, your gut, your digestion, your recovery, your immunity. So it has a lot of benefits to it. So this is one of the classic fermented foods that I think is gaining more and more popularity,
Yes.
especially from Korea. So this is a great one. My girlfriend loves it.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the long lines of people queuing up for the Korean food, everything else. Okay, so remember to order this on top of your barbecue meats and everything.
Yeah, and make sure that when you buy this, please check the label for preservatives. I usually like to buy ones that are organic without all these additives that are put into it.
Yeah.
There are some brands that are very particular in not adding stuff. So the traditional kimchi variety. So I always go for that.
what an episode. It makes me feel so hungry. Maybe I'll make a salad out of all the things that we've brought to the show.
Yeah. Once again, food plays an important role in our lives. Not just about losing weight, but eating the right food can also heal us inside and outside. Good quality food means whole foods. Try to keep away from processed foods. Read those labels. Remember, healthy food can just be as delicious. Whether it's traditional food or whether it's new age salads, they can all serve the purpose to heal you.
Now, if you find this content useful, please, do like and share this video. There are many people who will benefit from your sharing.
Also, do check us out on Facebook. Our Facebook page is fb.com/healthreadyshow, where we have lots of health and wellness content just for you.
Now, till the next episode, my name is Max Tay.
And I'm Dr. Sankeet Reddy.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.